Louises. Try to do too many things at once. Sorry, boys. Shit. Oh my goodness. Watch with 0 viewers. Let's get our chat up. Okay, round 2. Try number 2. We're gonna do a reel this time. Y'all missed that whole game. Man. That's pretty decent. Warm-up round. How about that? Will be the warm-up. Dirty old houseboat warm-up. Alright, looks like we're live all the way around. Zizzle. Oh shit.
Here they come. Attack.
Hiya. Starting in the middle of a game is always fucking fun. You got it all wrong. Fuck out of there. Sheesh. Rolly. Let's check this out. See how elite this guy is. Yeah. Oh my god. That's that same fucking dude. Gross. Yeah. We're in a different league right now. Can we get popped down a notch, please? I can't hang with these fuckers. Yeah. That's fine. We gotta lose some to get into the noob games. No big deal. Change fucking guns. Jesus. What game is this even? Deathmatch? That's why. Can't do deathmatch. Doesn't make sense to me. That's my dude. These fuckers are murderers. Eee. That was rough.
Good. We will remember.
Practice round. Again, part 2. 2 practice rounds. Just waiting. Just hanging out. Excited to shoot some people with bullets. Finishing moves, I don't know how to do that. 20 kills using a weapon with a scout optic. Do I got that? That's got no optic. That's not gonna make it. Oh, Shotgun City. We also got fucking rocket launchers. What's up? Instantly going. What should we do? Right in the middle. Fuck yeah, right in the fucking middle.
Capture and defend the hard point.
Motherfuckers. That's our own dude. Oh, that could have been so much better. Got him. Oh man. Alright, so hard points in the middle. No fucking bazooka in the middle, boys. Shabow.
Location secured.
He nailed me on that one. Cook it, cook it.
Get ready. We're about next hard point.
Pure chaos. If you're new around here, this is normal.
Enemy at the dumpster.
Bro, I saw you walking. Ah, son of a bitch. Make the planes kill these fuckers. And go. Did I do it? That's my airplane. Oh, son of a bitch. Why can't I just bazooka people, bro? Here they come. Yeah. What? This guy's rocket proof. Check this out. Oh, it didn't even leave my... That was whack. Fuck it. Oh, I got somebody. Oh, man. I'm gonna stick him. Stick him with it. Perfect. Missed. Shitting me. one's even holding the goddamn point. These fucking assholes. How are you sniping on this map, dude? Alright. Take the damn point at least.
Stand by to move.
Shit.
Hardpoint, let's go. Enemy care package inbound. Got the hardpoint. Hardpoint contested.
No, it ain't. Oi, oi, oi.
UAV online.
Scared. I'm scared. We held that point. Sure, boys. Back to shotguns. Fuck it. Get out of here. This thing takes 100 years to reload. Dude, it couldn't be that heavy. There's no way it's that heavy. Oh, I killed myself with that grenade. Mother. Dude. Get out of here.
Let's go.
Ah, damn it. Who cares? Get to the point. Fucking buckets. Whatever the hell they is. Ooh, I'm rocket proof too. Look at that. We got lots of potions. We're all right. Oh my lord. Get out here. Yo, I've held this point the whole time. That was pretty good. That was a good run. Cluster strikes. Let's say ally cluster strike. Cook it. Got him. Whoa, what gun did I get? Fucking broke his nose. You get one? I got one. Okay. Oh. I don't think my team knows what we're doing here, what the objective is. Come on, boys. Oops.
Go, get to the next one. Enemy at the center. The enemy's in the hole.
Oh boy, 39 kills. That's a lot. Is it a lot? Gosh. Look at my time though. Minute 40. That's a weird play of the game. Woo. Wonder if I should throw chat on this screen now that we have 87 different chats going on. Chat's ready, boys. Boys and girls, let's do this. Here, at least you know what's happening. I don't know. I don't even know if it matters. You tell me. You tell me. Fan is making me my eyes water. Oh, our sweet tunes weren't even playing. Why didn't anyone say anything? Let's crank those up. This is Call of Duty music for sure. This is it. This is the sound of not being demonetized.
Headquarters.
Not blinking sucks. Oh, I forgot I didn't have a shotgun. Where the bad guys at? That's a good. Yeesh. I hate headquarters. Ugh. Nobody see.
Security. We're in the lead.
Oh my god. Why didn't anyone tell me to reload? Sheesh.
Reinforcements available. HQ shut down. Regroup. Stand by for new coordinates. The enemy at the tower.
I don't see enemy at the tower.
HQ back to the location. We're at the HQ. Stand by.
Pretty fucking OP. That didn't hurt you, but I can't do anything. come. Really?
Enemy care package inbound. HQ shut down. Regroup. Stand by. Secure the HQ. Go.
We can see everything from up here, boys. Apparently they can see us too. That's flexing on us. He's flexing.
Setting charge.
HQ online. Secure it. We're at the HQ. Stand by. Enemy personal radar online. Enemy cluster strike. Cover.
Watch where you shoot.
Which way you shoot? Bro, what's with the fucking cluster strikes? There's like a bazillion of these motherfuckers.
HQ is out. Defend the enemy. HQ contested. Perimeter breach. Defend the HQ. Stand by for next location.
Enemy down.
Online. Secure it.
Yo, what the fuck is that?
We're at the HQ. Stand by.
Yeet, get it, boys. Nice, good eye.
Enemy personal radar online. Enemy at the cargo container. Enemy care package inbound. Enemy cluster strike incoming. Take cover.
I get so scared.
Friendly sentry has been deployed. Enemy cluster strike incoming. Take cover. HQ is ours. Defend the area.
Holy shit, was it not ours before now? Whose was it historically?
Enemy at the cargo container.
One down.
Precision airstrike ready.
Target marked. Hit them now.
Phoenix 3, good copy. Strike inbound.
Good copy. Got him.
Good effect on target.
Ooh, our whole team's alive.
Reinforcements unavailable.
Bro, everyone fucking sucks at this game. That's the best part.
HQ disabled. Reinforcements inbound. Stand by for next location.
Oh yeah, next location. Fuck days. How did that dude get up there? In the middle of our whole fucking team. Who's shooting at, bruh? Oh fuck.
Airstrike. Cover.
all of my teammates first. Pro tip.
Enemy cruise missile incoming.
Oh, that guy did not mean to kill me. Oh my goodness. That was a shit show.
HQ contested. Perimeter breach. Defend the HQ. HQ shut down. Regroup. Stand by for next location.
Stand by for fuck you. There are hella dudes over there. Where'd they go? Hiya! Got a plane again? No.
Movement here.
Secure the location. They're capturing the HQ.
Sending charge.
Bitch! Must have thermals.
Take cover.
Yep. Oh, they got infrared. Okay.
30 seconds.
For some reason, I thought they would be capturing the point, but apparently not. Allow me. Shoot me, bruh. Come on, come on, come on. C4 this motherfucker. Go, go, go. Oh man, didn't kill her. 144 to 0? See what I mean? Everybody fucking sucks. Damn, except for that guy. Holy shit. Yeesh. Over 1 KD. Where the real one's at. Right here. What are we doing? Where's everybody at? Where's the chat? Where's all the engagement? That's how I was promised. It's promised friends here. What's going on? False advertising for real. For real, for real. Those smooth stream jams. They don't have this in a metal version. Otherwise I'd use that. Blazer Fan 503. That guy's a real one. Go shoot house. Show house.
Hard point.
Shart house.
Capture and defend the hard point. When it moves, you follow. We have our first target. Move out.
How'd you track me? Are you pro? I see you, pro. Those look like all misses to me.
Enemies taking the hard point.
That's weird. Oh, there's fucking Claymore. God damn it.
The enemy took the hard point.
Yo, this weapon switch is fucking up. No snipers. Sniper, no sniping.
Hard point contested. Location secured. 10 seconds. Get ready to move. The enemy took the hard point. Hard point contested.
Enemy in the center.
Bye bye.
Get to the next one.
I got 0 dudes on that.
Location secured.
What the fuck? How many bullets was that? Anybody count that? Slow it down. Alright. Boo.
Hard point contested.
Pumpy, pumpy, shoddy, shoddy.
Enemy at the shanty town.
Okay, get to the hard point. The enemy took the hard point.
Enemy in the cargo containers.
Care package inbound. Location secured. Personal radar in the air.
Ah, come on. That would have been the whole fucking team.
Enemy precision airstrike.
Enemy in the
Take
cargo
cover.
containers.
What the crap?
Enemy at the center.
Go, get to the next one.
Get out of here.
Location secured.
Oh, that was a different dude.
The enemy took the hard point.
Sam is there. Oh, yeah, AT sub. Saxophone.
Get ready.
dude. The bitch wasn't just standing still. They would have known there were fucking bad guys right there.
The enemy took the hard point. Location secured.
Bitch ass Valorant's got me all
The enemy took the hard point.
fucked up.
Enemy
Enemy
personal
took the
radar
whole
in here.
point. Oh, one bullet. What the shit?
Enemy at the forklift.
Step it up. Go, get to the next one.
He didn't even look like he was looking at me. See that in slow-mo. Yeah, that's pretty suspect. Yup. Fucking asshole.
Location secured. 10 seconds. Get ready for it.
Enemy
The
in the
enemy took the
junkyard.
hard point. Go, get to the next one.
Enemy at the shanty town.
Enemy's taking the hard point.
And he's at the panty town.
We've got the hard point. Enemy cluster strike incoming. Take cover. Hard point.
Fuck, dog. Fuck out of my kitchen.
Hard point contested. Hard point lost. Get ready for it.
That motherfucker's a ninja. He ducked, squatted down underneath my hits. Bad motherfucker.
Go, get to the next one.
Bye. We been live, son. We live on all platforms too. All platforms. DRM free.
It's over. We're RTB. Move out.
Joining on y'all bitch ass. Alright, I'm gonna BRB while you do that. Dude, we're still above 1 KD. That doesn't sound good. That's really fucking good. Ooh, I got my new stickers. Alright, let's let Robbie join on us. Kicking and chillaxing, all cool. Got my new labels. Alright, BRB chat. Whoops, we had the double chats going on. Whoopsie daisies. Mike's muted. Mike's not muted now. Let's hope not. Shit. Had enough of those issues fucking for the month, dude. We'll be fine. Yeah, levels are good. Green screen's fucked up tonight, but I don't know what to do with that. Who knows? I sure as fuck don't. Blah blah. I feel like my mic moved. What's happening? Alright, well, we're waiting for Robbie. Bitch ass ain't here yet, so let's do some old dirty houseboat. Get 20 kills using a weapon with a scout optic. Let's try and get that. Scout optic. This thing? We do a scout combo. No. Let me do it. That better work. Jacks my ADS. You mute my tab, bro? Damn. Know who the real day ones are. Sheesh. Sheesh. Mute my tab and shit. Yo, Chrome, I want you to remember, I don't want to hear this motherfucker ever.
Right.
Dang it. We're not doing it on this round, boys. We're fucking nading bitches, sticking them. This, oh, I missed the sticky shit. Bap, 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 bap. Ooh, oh shit, I'm scared and blinded. On, dude. Damn, dude. I'm getting hyphy. Stuck in the corner. That was terrible. Ooh. Ooh-wee.
We are winning.
splattered my tags everywhere, bro.
Enemy at the dumpster.
Oh, what the fuck is this? I just keep changing my loadout. Missed. Ah!
It's finished. We have done it.
We have done it.
Enemy in the cargo container.
Damn, dead last. That was pure trash, boys. Score of fucking 5. Yeah. Wee, yoy. Someday we'll get good. Gotta do that. I can't use thermals and then be detected by thermals. That just doesn't make sense. Topographical. Rust. Doesn't even wiggle the little bullet on my gun. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Hard point. Control the hard points as they are located.
That was a slide and a half.
Capture the objective. Hard point secure. Taking control.
What?
Enemy at the cargo container.
The fuck gun is that?
Hard point contested. Hard point lost.
Yikes.
Enemy
We're
UAV
not doing
overhead.
good.
Control the hard point. Ready, we're about to move.
About to something.
Go, get to the next one.
Dude. Might end up being a Joe Rogan night after all.
Enemy at the container. We've taken the hard point. Friendly UAV online. Stand by two. Hard point lost.
the fuck happened? We're doing the fucking pro queue? This is insane.
Control. Enemy at the bell. Enemy cluster strike incoming. Location secured. 10 seconds. Get ready. Hard point secure. Hard point, let's go. Hard point lost. Hard point secure. Hard point lost.
Yeah, I think that's it. That seals the deal right there.
Get ready to move. Hard point secure. Hard point contested. Hard point lost. Next hard point, let's go. Friendly care package is out.
Two motherfuckers left this game. Definitely not leaving, crazy ass.
I see one.
Stand by to move. Hard point contested. The hard point.
Oh, he fucking headshot me, that's why. Controllers.
Next hard point.
You can't put shitty computer people with fucking good controller people. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Those aren't the same thing.
Hard point lost.
My man had a bead on me that time. What the fuck was that?
Hard point lost. Stand by to move.
Oh my fuck.
Missile incoming. Location secure. Enemy UAV overhead. Turret deployed. Decontrol the hard point. Enemy helo in the air. 30 seconds. Time's up. Move. Stand by to move. Enemy UAV overhead. Hard point, let's go.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, Robbie was coming. Apparently not. I want some real fucking music. Better be worth it. Ja feel. Ba 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 ba. Who we got up in here tonight? Bring it in. Let's bring it in for a second. Let's take a breather after that one. That was fucking Rizzuff. Rizzuff. There's Robbie. Said he was gonna be here. Our lo-fi jazz. Lo-fi hip-hop. We do some Yawn Fest Valorant. Try that again. Fucking Yawn Fest. Let's watch that shit. I gotta watch that. We're gonna fucking watch that right now. Let me pull that shit up. Fucking hilarious. We do Dr. Disrespect, Rage, Valorant. Where's the fucking good ones at? 12 minutes. This one good?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's
Jesus
buddy hop our way
fuck.
around into the situation via Valorant.
Goodness.
Hey guys, you're blazing. I'm getting really good.
Snooze fest.
Wake up. I can't. The fucking game's boring. That's why.
I wish I had a brimstone low
I'm fucking bored to death.
I've always
There's no
played
adrenaline
Brimstone. This is the
involved with this
first game
game.
I haven't, so.
I feel like my tallywhacker's 2 inches long. Fighting through fucking VFX and walls and shit.
VFX.
Hard to watch. Like it doesn't interest me at all. Like to watch it. Now, I say the same thing about Overwatch. Overwatch, like I'm not interested in watching someone play Overwatch, especially if they're a main tank or whatever, and they're just swinging around and they got their like it's so many graphics, VFX all over, all that stuff. But to play Overwatch for me, and I've only started playing it recently. It's so much fun to play. I love playing Overwatch. It's a fun game to play, but man, I cannot watch it. And it's the same. I wonder if that's going to be the same thing with Valorant. even as a brand new game, brand new, it only took me a couple rounds to go like, oh, okay, this is Valorant. And I am not really too interested. Future! Oh, shooter games!
That thing sucks dick, right? Oh my god. Dude, I hate that thing. I've done it a few tries too.
I'm trying it one more time.
You know, the animation of the character, like, I mean,
That was a good flash right there.
Staring at the sun.
Oh, there are a lot more fucking people. This character animation.
Yeah. Like, you can't. You've got to sit like a fucking statue to shoot this weapon. You really do, right? First off, everyone's bunny hopping. You know, everyone's bunny hopping just like this. You know, just bunny hop. Let's bunny hop everywhere. All right, right? Fucking bunny hop everywhere, and you can't even fire the.
HP. That's the 1 HP guy. Doc, I'm gonna fight you in real life. You understand?
So fucking unathletic, man.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
I can't move around. I can't do shit. Fucking everyone, we're walking around. That's what we're doing. Snooze fest. Let's be real. Let's not beat around the bush.
Snooze fest.
Right, I'm fucking 50. I'm 17 hours in. I'm 17 hours in the game. Right, it's been a roller coaster fucking emotion. Okay, and let's not beat around the bush. This game is a fucking snooze fest. It is. There's no athleticism. There's no violence, no speed, no momentum, no violence. It's just a bunch of and bunny hopping, and everyone's walking. That's what it is. It's a snooze fest. But I'm addicted, and it fucking sucks.
Dude, that guy's trip mines are on point. Oh my god. You actually
It's
get.
a fucking snooze fest.
Last player standing.
You can't be fucking athletic in this game. I know where they're at. It's just all about this.
I've been playing Counter-Strike for 20 years. I know my mouse sensitivity. I know how to be so precise with my aim. Fuck moving. I just crouch and just sit there and just wait. And God, all my Counter-Strike.
Get destroyed by
Fuck
that
moving.
trip mine.
I can't wait to be a professional gamer.
Fuck, man. I want to have fun. Okay. Calm down, Doc. We're having a good time. We're up 10-2. We're up 10-2. I'm leading. I'm like blowing everyone else out of the water with my KD ratio. Why am I mean, I got some psychological problems.
That's fucking weird. For sure. Oh man, boys. Mortal Kombat, dude. Mortal Kombat Battle Royale. That'd be it. Run. Top fucking Sonic speed. And then you shoot bullets while you're spinning. That's what I'm talking about. I'm with the good doctor on that one. Oh shit. So unathletic. Russians coming through. To excuse. Headquarters. Fuck them up. Through the fucking window, bitch.
First HQ's marked. Go. Multiple enemy at the bell.
Nailed it.
HQ active.
Oh my god, there's a lot of dudes there now. What the fuck?
HQ contested.
One dude in the window, all of a sudden there's 3 guys creeping on me.
Capturing the HQ.
Ooh, that was scary.
They've taken
Got him in the ball sack.
the ground. Push it back.
I fucking knew I shouldn't have peeked with that
UAV overhead.
stupid ass.
Location secure. Get ready.
He shit his pants. Oh fuck, the whole goddamn team's in here. That's not human.
New HQ established. Enemy at the bridge. HQ active. Taking HQ.
Oh, they have a sniper of their own. I got you. Okay. As long as they're playing Call of Duty, that's fine. We got bazookas and shit.
No reinforcements. Changing mags.
Roadie knob, dude.
We're in control. AO is too hot.
It always too hot. To the left, to the left.
HQ shut down. Regroup. We're moving soon. Get ready. On the way. Friendly UAV online. Next location marked. Control it. Taking fire.
That was my fucking kill.
Taken the HQ.
shitballs, dude.
Moving soon. Enemy VTOL in the AO. Enemy cluster strike incoming. Next location marked. Control it. Enemy at the construction site.
The whole fucking team is over there.
AO is 2-1. Reloading. Deploy with us. Halfway there. HQ contested. Enemy trying to shut down our HQ. They disabled the HQ. Reinforcements inbound. We're moving soon. Get ready. With you. Reloading. Enemy at the next location marked. Control it.
Come on, babies. Wingy, wingy, wingy. Yep. Dead.
Take cover.
Fucking dead. Why would they cluster strike the back line?
HQ is marked. Get moving. They're capturing the HQ. Go. HQ contested. Capturing the HQ. Enemy VTOL in the AO. We have the HQ. Stay alive.
Yeah, exactly. We have the HQ. You're gonna fucking die in the next 10 seconds.
Friendly UAV online. HQ shut down. Regroup. We're moving soon. Get ready. Enemy at the construction site. Friendly enemy at the bridge.
Did not see him.
HQ is active. Take control. Enemy on the HQ. Get over there. Enemy at the compound. Friendly UAV online. Location secured. We're moving soon. Get ready. Enemy at the bridge. New HQ established. Allied cruise missile on the way. Disabling the HQ. Keep your eyes open. HQ captured. Friendly VTOL in the air. Get ready to hunt.
I fucking hate headquarters.
Get to the new HQ.
Why does it keep putting me in this?
Enemy in the compound.
Keeps putting it back on my fucking list of randomizers. Turn that shit off every time.
Enemy UAV overhead.
It's so fucking annoying. Why are we even over here?
Taking the lead. Enemy near Main Street. Keep fighting. We can't send reinforcements yet. Hold for the next wave.
La-di-da-di.
UAV online. Friendly cluster strike inbound. HQ disabled. Get ready to move out. We're moving soon. Get ready. Friendly UAV online. Enemy near Main Street. Allied missile on the way.
Oh, that's a dude up there. That was a fucking decoration. Man standing on a building.
Enemy VTOL in the AO. Enemy in the construction site. Friendly UAV online. HQ is marked. They're capturing the HQ. Go. Enemy has captured the HQ captured. We're moving soon. Get ready. Allied cruise missile on the way. Enemy at the farm. Friendly UAV online. Enemy in the compound. Get moving. Capturing the HQ. Friendly UAV online. Enemy in the buses. We have the HQ. Stay alive. Contact.
Whew. Not that I really fucking helped at all. fucking music sucks. What are we doing? Yeah, yes. Oh, that was just a lobby. Book the lobby. I'm super tired of that fucking music. Maybe we should just chill out. Let's just chill out. I don't feel like playing nothing. Unless we got requests. I don't know. No requests. Nice. That don't work. Nice doesn't help. You're on Facebook? That's crazy. Doesn't show doxed. Doesn't show anyone on Facebook. Doxed myself. 0 watchers on Facebook. That's funny. Thanks, Obama. Oh, and we got some YouTubes. Some of that YouTube. Levels of production. Oh, I'm on Mixer too. Log into your Mixer account. JK. But I am on Mixer. And it's in my Discord. My Discord just doesn't have a real, thing. Ooh, bang Discord? That'd be a good one. If my bot did that. Let's make a custom. Okay, I want to listen to real fucking music or something, so I think we kill the YouTube stream and we kill the Facebook stream. You think Facebook will cease and desist me like YouTube does? Checking what? What are you checking? Oh, never mind. It won't even work anyways. I have to fucking pay to turn off YouTube. Restream has some weird shit you have to pay for. Oh, you're checking the quad stream? It's good. I checked it before. Put our whack ass tunes back on. Need to find some non-DRM music of like metal or something. Hi, bot. Oh, you're following on a Mixer. Nice. I think this is my first one. First Mixer follow. There we go. Now I won't cut my hand off. Nice. Quad stream. I got that powerful content too. Quaddy B. I was gonna do something. What was I gonna do? Oh shoot. Got shadows on the green screens. Quaddy.
safe.
What were you saying?
You suck.
We're gonna get educated, boys.
It's not that embarrassing. You get. Go ahead.
Like sometimes when I get nervous, my eye will start watering. Like
I don't think that's odd. I think that's probably pretty normal. I mean, your system's fired up, and
See if this gets us pulled.
right? Maybe I mean, I'm just speculating.
Maybe people will message me.
I'm never gonna get affiliate. I need
Like that happens to me.
way more fucking viewers to get affiliate.
Sure. That doesn't
Way
sound that
more
odd.
viewers.
It's certainly not embarrassing. So I don't know why you're embarrassed.
One
by
per month.
watering if you're nervous. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
I'm always happy to come.
Well, we've been talking about immune systems, and this is one of the main things that I wanted to
Oh yeah, the bang. Yeah.
All we're hearing is shelter in place, wear a mask, don't touch anybody, don't go outside. But we're not hearing what can you do to strengthen your immune system. And I think that as a public health, a public service, health thing, this is one of the most important things that I think you can really focus and concentrate on, and an actual thing that you could be proactive about during this weird time.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I think focusing on lifestyle factors that you can,
My fan is blasting the mic.
modulate your immune system and strengthen it is important. What's interesting is that the immune system, after doing just so much, of course, the past couple of months, I've been nothing but reading about the immune system and trying to understand, of course, this new virus, SARS-CoV-2. But I've just learned so much, over the past couple of months. I'm not an immunologist. I'm not an infectious disease expert. So, while I've had some training in immunology, I definitely, don't know everything.
Or you're approved.
But doing some reading about why are people's immune systems so different? That's the big thing. When you take a young population, as you get older, your immune system does
that
decline.
chat
There's
interaction.
lots of changes that occur. But in general, people have different immune
active
systems.
chat
And
tonight.
What's interesting is that there's been tons of genetic studies done on identical twins, and they're followed over time. And what's found is that genetics is not the major regulator of immune function. It's something in the environment. And this is what surprised me, and it's not totally going to answer your question, but we can totally get to that. But one of the main things besides age that regulates the immune system is previous exposure to viruses.
We could probably get away with smoking some chemicals that are known to the state of California to cause cancer.
Did you know between 50 to 80% of the U.S. population has it, at least by the time they're an adult?
Has it permanently or has caught it?
It's a herpes virus, so it's a lifelong thing.
It's Project Melody.
And this is why it basically it changes your immune system.
What are the symptoms of it?
Most people that are healthy don't ever know they have it because there's no symptoms.
Whoa.
Yeah, unless you're immunocompromised. But most people that are healthy, they don't know, that
I used Google for OnlyFans.
Cytomegalovirus. It's CMV.
Sounds like something Godzilla fights.
There it is.
You could do that.
So what's so interesting, but here's the interesting thing about this virus is that so this is one of the major things multiple studies have been looking at, just immune variability. And it's CMV has been identified in multiple studies. And the reason it got me interested because I was almost 80%. I mean, I could have it, right? I could totally have it. And it changes the immune function. It's totally different between young and old. So when you're younger, and if you have it, it actually enhances immune function. So they've done studies where they have given people influenza vaccine, and oftentimes these vaccine studies are used to kind of test the immune response and how robust your immune response is, because you're given a vaccine and there's all different types of vaccines, pieces of an antigen or all different types of ways that you can expose someone to bacteria or virus, but you have a response to it, and the response is involves your adaptive immunity. You make what's called neutralizing antibodies that basically
Project Melody
bind to the virus and neutralize it, prevent it from entering the cell. So people that have CMV that are young have a really robust response to the vaccine, much better. But older people have the complete opposite, where it's deleterious, and the reason for that, scientists think, is because
some waifu anime shit, 18 plus.
This virus, it's stuck with you lifelong, and it kind of reactivates every few years. And every time it reactivates, it kind of trains your T cells which are part of your immune system, to become focused on that CMV. And so as you get older,
your meme?
your T cell population becomes more focused on fighting that virus and less so on other viruses that you're exposed to.
That's definitely it.
This virus doesn't have any symptoms?
Most healthy people don't have any symptoms with it. I know. It's really weird. So what I'm wondering, and the reason I'm even like going here, and
let's do chatbot, stream elements bot,
stuff and vitamin D, but I just thought it was so damn interesting because we hear all these stories in the news where some people are asymptomatic, some people are then some people are just really getting hard hit, and these people, let's say they're more age matched, right? We know that elderly people are more prone to severe form, but it just made me think, what if this, previous viral exposure to something like CMV is kind of like also kind of shaping people's immune responses in some way? Surely people are going to be looking at that, but I just thought that was a really interesting thing to come across, and then the other sort of along the same lines as previous virus exposure is like something that really seems to be something that is a main regulator of how people, how your immune, what your immune response is, and so.
So you mean by how many times you've caught the flu, how many times you've had, whether you
how
have
you respond to it,
measles?
how you respond to it, Yeah, I mean, like if you get the flu, is it like a 3-day kind of thing, or is it gonna knock you out for 2 weeks kind of thing? Right. That's what I mean, right? So, I mean, if you get a sample, like there's been these sero surveys where they basically that just means they'll get a sample of plasma and look for different antibodies, viral antibodies, and they'll find at any given point a person has like antibodies against 10 different viruses just randomly. So you're constantly being exposed to viruses. You're not always.
You just don't succumb to them. Right.
You're not always getting sick, and so like another really interesting kind of thing is like,
rainbow brain.
So the SARS-CoV-2 virus is part of a family of coronaviruses called the beta coronaviruses. So SARS-CoV-1, the virus that was responsible for the original SARS outbreak in 2002 or something. The MERS one in the Middle East, and then there's 2 different ones that are responsible for the common cold. Now, coronaviruses are only responsible between like 15 to 30% of common cold cases. So it's not like the common cold is the illness you get, but there's lots of different viruses that can cause it. But what's interesting is that there's been studies showing that these 2 beta coronaviruses that are responsible for some of the common cold cross-react with, so there's one that cross-reacts with the SARS-CoV-1, which has the sequence is very homologous to SARS-CoV-2 virus. And it's also been shown that the SARS-CoV-1, the antibodies against the SARS-CoV-1 can neutralize the common cold one. So there's like cross immunity happening between these other viruses, right? And so there's been some studies by the CDC on SARS-CoV-2 where they found basically that people that are infected with SARS-CoV-2
I don't think so.
Their antibodies against.
I look live on Twitch still.
And so there's certainly, I think, a good hypothesis to be made that potentially
me, myself, and I up in this motherfucker.
These common cold viruses the antibodies you make against them could also somehow maybe interact with the SARS-CoV-2 virus, potentially neutralize it. I mean, that's a big open question that seems possible. We don't have any answer to that. I think we will. Like, there's large scale.
What are all those fucking things? All those sparks.
I know at least 3 that.
You crashed chat, that's for sure. Fuck.
He's doing like really large.
Skill, lots of stars, Hunter Sparks, skill, rad thoughts.
Blood donors and stuff, and like following them over the course of several years to see, just basically understand more. So
now, what is the speculation, if there's any sort of uniform speculation as to why, when you hear about prisons, where a lot of these prisoners, I don't know if you've seen that there's a video going around where one prisoner had SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, whatever, and spitting into a cup and then passing it around.
That motherfucker's spitting.
These other inmates, so they could all get it, so that they get released. So because they're releasing people, especially California, which is so wacky. They're releasing sex offenders, and there's been some really high-profile releases of these horrible people that should be in jail probably forever, and they're releasing them. It's like it's really disturbing. But what would cause, other than something like that, what would cause all of these prisoners to not just be positive, that makes sense, but to all be asymptomatic? Is there any speculation as to why these large groups? There was another one that was a meatpacking plant where most of the people were asymptomatic as well.
I wasn't aware of the meat packing one being asymptomatic, but I did read about the one in prison, and it was like blowing my mind. Like
98%.
Like what's going on? Like that's insane. It's kind of like you read these stories. So this is like, there's one thing that it's important to keep in mind when we say asymptomatic. Like, you know, there's asymptomatic in like a person that never actually gets symptoms, right? And then there's asymptomatic. So there was a study done at the CDC, I don't know, a month ago, maybe a little more, where they measured like they did this nasal pharyngeal swab test in a nursing home, 70-something people, and 13 of them tested asymptomatic, like they had no symptoms, but they tested positive. But then they went back a week later, and 10 of those people had symptoms, and 3 were asymptomatic. So unless like there's another, like if you test someone and they're asymptomatic at that time of testing, they could be pre-symptomatic, right? In other words, like you have to go back a week later and see if they have symptoms,
right?
Because that's really important. So let's say even 60% were asymptomatic. Like I don't know if they went back and tested a week later, if it was just like a single time,
right?
But this is what got me thinking about this whole thing was, you know, in the prisons and jails, I mean, they're in close quarters and you got one virus that someone's exposed to and they all get it, right? So like
if
there's, I don't know the CMV, you know, percentage there, but what if the coronaviruses are going around there? What if you know, some common cold coronavirus has gone around and that, you know, those antibodies that they've made to neutralize that beta coronavirus are somehow helping with the SARS-CoV-2.
It's all those beta coronaviruses, dude.
That tested.
Do you know if they immunize people, did vaccinate people when they go into jail?
I was trying to figure that out as well because
we need
like
some more
tuberculosis,
alpha coronas.
One of the types of vaccines they do for TB, I think they do it in like Japan and some other countries where they've got a really low death rate, and so they're that's a test. That's like clinical trial that's now going on where they're trying to test. But I was trying to figure out: is there a vaccination? Is there something?
Because I would imagine it would be simple for them to do that. You're entering into prison; they just vaccinate you just to.
I couldn't come to an answer. I was searching for that the other day. I was trying to figure that out, but I think that's also a really good. I mean, there's a ton of theories, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just you could go on and on and on, but the thing that I just think that I would like to see more research, and I'm just hoping, you know, that CDC and other people are investigating the cross immunity, right? Like if there's antibodies that you're making against another coronavirus, beta coronavirus that's in the same family as this SARS one. No one's had SARS one in the United States, you know, so like that one doesn't. That's not as relevant as, but the common cold, you know, that's very common, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, if 15 to 30% of the common cold is composed of coronaviruses, we know at least 2 of those coronaviruses are in the same family that have been identified to make, at least in one case, there's been neutralizing antibodies, so there has been cross immunity. Then you'd think, why not test that? Like, let's get some animal studies started on that, you know?
Speaking of animal studies, there was an article that I was reading yesterday that was saying that they're hoping that they've found some antibodies in llamas that they're hoping they're going to be able to, see if you can find this, because of these antibodies in llamas, they're hoping they can either transfer them to people or learn something about how these antibodies are created. But llamas seem to be immune. Here it is. Llamas could be the key to fighting new coronaviruses. Research says, make that larger. It says, it may sound bizarre to most, but llamas could be the key to fighting new coronavirus. Researchers from Belgium, remember that's the big lady that I was showing you earlier? She's the health lady. And the United States published an article this week in the journal Cell that highlights the potential use of llama antibodies to prevent COVID-19 infections. Antibodies from a 4-year-old Belgian llama named Winter show promise in blocking coronavirus from infecting cells, according to research from the University of Texas, Austin, the National Institutes of Health, and the Ghent, how do you say that? Ghent, G-H-E-N-T University. Studying earlier forms of the coronavirus, researchers have found an antibody in Winter that effectively attached itself and neutralized spike protein in SARS-CoV-1 and MERS-CoV. Researchers believe the particular antibody, which has been found in other llamas as well, can be injected into an uninfected individual to protect them from getting infected with the new coronavirus. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so I think there's lots of avenues for therapeutics, and in addition to like repurposing drugs, monoclonal antibodies. Being able to basically identify antibodies that do neutralize SARS-CoV-2 virus, whether they come from llamas or humans, and basically identify the specific antibody that can bind to that spike protein that you just mentioned, which is that region. It's known that the antibodies bind there and neutralize it. It's also the region that is used to get inside of the cell. So monoclonal antibodies, I think, are a really big, possibility for a promising therapeutic, because you can then, the problem is growing like large scale manufacturing them, right? So like if you can identify these antibodies and then manufacture them, you can inject them in people and then potentially get some protection. The problem is that that's not gonna, like, it's just going to be a short-lived protection. Like it's not like a vaccine where your body's making its own antibodies and they're more longer lived.
Oh, I see.
But
so in areas where people are getting exposed, perhaps you could give it to them and it would stop them from getting. But how long when you say short-lived?
I don't know. So it's it's probably enough to like if you're a healthcare worker, your first line, first responder, people that are definitely like being exposed to large doses of the virus, that could be a promising area. But also, I think even just treating patients like that have already been infected. So that's also another. So like in combination with some of this other stuff like remdesivir, which is it's not like a silver bullet, but it seems like it's also promising probably with combination of other factors as well. But yeah, the monoclonal antibodies is a really. I know there's like Regeneron's a big company. They're growing some large scale ones. I think theirs they isolated from humanized mice or something. But there's other companies that have isolated them from humans that have been infected.
Humanized mice.
So, that's definitely a promising area for sure. And a good thing about that is that, have you heard of antibody-dependent enhancement? Do you know?
No.
So that's a big concern. All right. So basically, when your body is exposed to a pathogen like a virus, your innate immune system, the first line of defense, like neutrophils, things like that, are making hydrogen peroxide, trying to kill the virus. But then in the background, your adaptive immune system, and I'm just totally generalizing, is also working in the background, and part of that an adaptive immune response is to produce antibodies. So you have memory B cells that are making antibodies that are specific to bind to different regions, epitopes on the virus, and neutralize them, prevent them from getting inside of the cell. And so that adaptive immune system usually takes about 7 days after you're exposed to the virus, right? The problem is antibody-dependent enhancement. So sometimes a neutralizing antibody is an antibody that can bind to the virus and neutralize it, stop it from entering your cell, right? So it's doing its job. But you sometimes make antibodies that are non-neutralizing or don't do as good of a job. They don't bind as tight or something. And then you can have what's called antibody-dependent enhancement. And this was like a big problem for the RSV vaccine. Back in the, like most kids get RSV. It's a respiratory tract infection. The most kids get it by the time they're 2. There's no vaccine that's given. Back in the 60s, there was this antibody-dependent enhancement happened in some clinical studies with toddlers, and some toddlers got really, really sick, and a couple died. But what happens is basically the antibody binds to there's a couple of things. The antibody binds to the virus and can basically change its conformation and allow the virus to get into the cell better. So then you become like, you get like a higher viral load, and then you don't have antibodies to neutralize it, and it just, it could lead to death. The other thing that happens is the antibody binds to the virus, it doesn't neutralize it, but it like makes this crazy immune complex that like activates your immune system to just go haywire, and it causes all sorts of pathology, and that's what happened with the RSV toddlers. So there's a few viruses that this happens with, and unfortunately coronavirus is one. Like this has been identified with the SARS-CoV-1 virus, and I think MERS as well.
Corona.
So this is also a problem with vaccines. So like people like giving the vaccine people's immune response. Some people can have that antibody dependent enhancement, and that's what was shown to happen with the SARS-CoV-1. There was some non-human primate studies that did that, and also animal studies as well. So, the thing with monoclonal antibodies is they're a little more specific because they neutralize and you're like growing them up, like you've done all that test, as opposed to just letting your immune system do its thing, and then potentially, you may have this like non-neutralizing antibody that could cause problems. But that's kind of the concern. I know that the vaccine people that are working on vaccines are working on that. I mean, it's like they're concerned. About that and completely trying to like figure that all out.
It's such a strange virus. It almost seems like there's multiple viruses.
There are. Yeah. So, and it's funny that because it's kind of connected to this antibody-dependent enhancement, there's been quite a few different like forms, like mutations that have been identified. But two particular in that spike protein region, that's like an important region because antibodies bind there and because that's the region like that, the virus uses to get into the cell. And so there's been two major like strains that have been identified, and one of them, so it's in the spike region, and it's an aspartate to glycine mutation, and basically,
of course it is
in Asia, in China.
I figured as much.
The predominant form is the aspartate, the like original quote unquote form, and then in Europe and also in North America, this other form, the glycine mutant, is predominant, and there's been studies that have shown. Looking in parts of Europe, different countries in Europe that have this predominant form, that there's a higher mortality rate. But they didn't actually measure the infected patients, so it's kind of like correlation. But what's interesting is that there's actually been a genetic link to this mutant. So there's been some large-scale genetic studies that have found that Asians, about 20% of Asians have basically a nucleotide change in a gene that encodes for a protease that's involved in this, basically in allowing this virus to get into the cell, but that basically prevents them from having this mutant that's predominant in Europe and also in New York, and in North America in general.
That's interesting because my friend Michael, who got it, his mom, who got it, who's in her 70s, is Asian, and she kicked it in a day.
That is interesting. So there's something. So there. I wonder if she has that SNP. So we're our genetic report that we have. Like we've got one that's like a new viral report. It's a free one where we're kind of like putting some of these interesting SNPs, which don't mean anything. It's just information that was interesting. There's a lot of researchers out there trying to like figure out if genetics is involved in this. But the thing that's so interesting about that mutation is that. It's in that spike region and it's where the antibody binds, and there's like a theory going around because that specific region, it's been shown in SARS-CoV-1 to cause antibody dependent enhancement. So there's a theory that potentially that mutation is causing people's immune system to hyperactivate and basically become more active, and it can lead to a more severe COVID-19 illness. That's not been shown. Like it's not been shown at all. So, but it's interesting, right? It's interesting how in Asia and in China particularly, about 1% of the population, it's like less than 1% has the other mutation. The glycine mutation that's in New York, it's in, in most of the United States, but that in less than 1% of the population in China has that form.
It's so weird. And Japan has a very low mortality rate, correct?
Yeah, they do. I know that I was mentioning that TB vaccine, that's one thing that they're investigating. There's all sorts of differences in handling the whole, from the beginning, just how you handle the virus. There's too many factors to like say one thing, but there's lots of possibilities, and I think that eventually there's going to be therapeutics that are identified. Multiple ones maybe, and I think vitamin D is going to potentially play a role there. But just like things like remdesivir and the monoclonal antibodies, and then you eventually a vaccine will eventually be available. But I think until that point, I do think that things will be identified that just kind of help us like deal with this better.
What is going on with blood types? One of the things we talked about earlier, you asked my blood type, and I said O positive. Now, why is O positive better?
Well,
Oh, positive.
There's been some data, and this was also identified with SARS-CoV-1, that people with type O blood, they make antibodies. They make type A antibodies, whereas people with type A blood, they make antibodies against against the B antigen. And so the type A antibodies were identified. So there's been studies looking at people with type O blood or type A blood, and also type B. And type O blood, there's like less frequency of getting COVID-19. So as opposed to having a severe form, it's just like you're less likely to contract it even. And it's thought because the type A antibodies that people with type O blood make they basically bind to that region, that spike region, and neutralize the antibody and prevent it from the virus from entering the cell. So that was the mechanism that was shown with SARS-CoV-1. So it's thought, we're seeing the same pattern where people with type O are protected from SARS-CoV-2. Possibly that's also why. But another really interesting thing is that people with type O blood, we were also talking about these like blood clots and there's all kinds of crazy things you read. I mean, I'm reading all these publications. And then the other thing is all these publications are being uploaded on, before they're peer reviewed. And I mean, some of them are just a mess and it's just anyways. But, you kind of just take it with a grain of salt. Where these clots are there's clots in people that are healthy and young, certainly people that have severe cases, people like older people that are pre-existing conditions and stuff. And the type O blood, people have lower levels of this von Willebrand factor, which basically is involved in clotting. And it's been shown that von Willebrand factor also is involved, is higher. It's higher in people with SARS-CoV-2. It was shown to also be that with SARS-CoV-1, and it's involved with clotting. So having lower levels may somehow even help protect against. That's a theory. It hasn't been shown. But what is known is that people with type O blood are less susceptible to contracting COVID-19. That's definitely known. But I mean, I think there's so many things. There's so many factors that
a lot of data that needs to be parsed out, right?
For sure. I mean, a lot of data that needs to be parsed out, a lot of data that needs to be generated. and we need higher quality data. We need, people to repeat stuff. I mean, look what's happened with this hydroxychloroquine stuff, right? I mean, it's just kind of a mess where initially it seemed like could be helpful, and then just more and more studies came out where it was not only not helpful, it was toxic. It was causing people to have dangerous arrhythmias and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason to kind of be cautious when you have something new in a small study.
It just seems like in the beginning, at least, they're trying to figure out what the correct treatment was for these people as they were just showing up en masse in the emergency rooms. And they didn't really know. And doctors, they varied in how they approached it. My friend Michael, his doctor, didn't put him on a ventilator. And he said, if I put him on a ventilator, he's probably going to die.
Right.
Because he said his body's going to stop working because it's going to let the ventilator do the breathing for him, and it's going to give up. And what he was talking about after the fact, what Michael was talking about was how that is proven to be correct in New York, and that some monstrous number, like 80% of the people that put on ventilators wind up dying.
Not just New York. I've had friends that are physicians that have in New Orleans. I mean, the same thing where it's there was someone on my team. We were doing some research on this, and I didn't sort of dive into the whole thing, but he was telling me that ventilators do actually cause more damage to the lungs, and he'd been reading some studies to confirm that, and he was pretty certain that ventilators actually cause damage and actually could induce damage, where it's making it worse. So
that's so
horrible. But I don't know all the specifics of that. All I know is that looking at the statistics, if you go on a ventilator, I mean, surely it seems like the outcome's it doesn't seem like it's going to be very good.
Right, but it's hard to say, is that the cause of it, or is it,
right?
Is it just that they're so fucked up by the time they get on a ventilator, they just wind up dying? Right.
Well, here, there's been some really interesting data looking at, in the Philippines, and Indonesia, where else? I think New Orleans as well. They've looked at patients that have died and their vitamin D levels. And basically, like in the Philippines, people that for like every standard deviation increase in vitamin D levels, serum vitamin D levels, the people had like an 8% or were 8 times less likely to have a severe form of COVID-19. And if they had, and they were 20 times less likely to have critical form of COVID-19.
Whoa.
So that was the Philippines. In the Indonesia was a really interesting study where like they measured vitamin D, and this was measured in the patients. There's been some vitamin D studies also where they're like looking at, countries that have been affected the worst, and they all like have low vitamin D, and it's like, okay, well, anyways, that's a correlation. But so is this, but it's a little stronger data. In Indonesia, patients that died, almost 100%, it was like 98 point something percent of patients that died with COVID-19 were vitamin D deficient. 4% of patients that died from COVID-19 were vitamin D sufficient, or say 4%, only 4% were vitamin D sufficient. So basically they were all vitamin D deficient, all the ones that are dying.
Whoa.
Crazy, right? And like New Orleans had some crazy number.
What would be the mechanism that would cause that?
So I think all right, can we get into vitamin D?
Please do.
It's a big, I really think.
Well, because of you, I take 5,000 IUs a day.
Awesome. Right now I'm taking 5,000 IUs a day. 70% of the U.S. population has insufficient vitamin D levels, which is considered less than, blood levels less than 30 nanograms per milliliter.
And this is something that your body can generate naturally if you're exposed to the sun on a daily basis.
Yes.
That's the best way to get it.
It is. But the problem is that we don't go outside anymore. And,
especially now.
Yeah, especially now. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now more than ever. But
what a terrible recipe, right? Vitamin D deficiency is what makes it worse. And then you're staying inside, so you're not getting any vitamin D.
Yeah. You're becoming even more deficient, Yeah. Like somewhere like 28% of the U.S. population is actually deficient, like less than 20 nanograms per mil. Like that's defined deficiency. So there's a lot of people in the United States. As you mentioned, you make it from the sun, so particularly UVB radiation. There's a reason why I want to talk about this. You make it from UVB radiation exposure. Basically, it's made in the skin. And but there's certain times of the year, depending on where you live, in a more northern latitude, where that UVB isn't even hitting the atmosphere, so you're not making vitamin D. Also, if you have darker skin, melanin protects you. Like the whole, people with darker skin, people from maybe Africa or India or South Asia, they're more equatorial regions. They're closer, closer to the equator, and there's more UVB radiation throughout the year. And so as a protective mechanism to not get burned, you have melanin, which protects you, right? The problem is that melanin also blocks your ability to produce vitamin D. But if you're out in the sun all the time, in a place where you're getting UVB radiation, it's not a problem.
Well, this is the very reason why people in places like Scotland and England have such pale skin.
Exactly.
Because it's cloudy all the time, so your body sort of develops its own ability to absorb more vitamin D.
Exactly. So what happens when you take what happens when you take a person from South Asia, from India, from Africa, and you put them in Sweden or in Minnesota or in the UK? And a place where UVB radiation doesn't hit most of the year, and you don't give them a supplement. What happens is they become severely vitamin D deficient, severely. And what happens when you take? I mean, you can throw this you can flip this over and say, okay, what happens when you take the guy from the UK, the Brit, and put him in Australia, like without any sunscreen or without a hat or
cancer.
They're gonna, So I mean.
Do you think that this could be a factor in why so many African Americans are getting hit so hard?
Yes. So here's the thing. Wow. So African Americans there's lots of, all right. African Americans are in the United States, there's been studies, African Americans are severely deficient. They're 28 times more deficient in vitamin D than Caucasians.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's because they have darker skin, and
and they're not getting enough sun.
They're not getting enough sun because people stay inside more. People stay inside. It's not like the old days when we were out hunter gatherer and out in the sun all the time. We're inside all the time. We're in school. We're at work, in our office, in our cubicle. So the CDC, you know, obviously there's been studies showing that African Americans are more hit, but they didn't really correct for tons of like other factors because socioeconomic status is important.
Facebook confuses me.
Other health factors, you know, and but there was a big study just released not long ago from like the National Office of Statistics in Britain or something like that. I don't know what their official name was, but they released some statistics from England and Wales, and the I don't know what the correct name to say. I mean, the blacks there basically living in England and in Wales are 4 times more likely to die of COVID-19 than whites. When they adjusted all that data for socioeconomic status and for other health factors, they were 2 times more likely to die. So clearly socioeconomic status and other health factors are playing a role, but there's something else unidentified. And I think it's vitamin D. I think that, you know, so, you know, the vitamin D, like it hasn't, look, I'm not saying that vitamin D is going to prevent you from getting COVID-19 or it's a treatment, although I am involved in a clinical study where we're going to be testing a very small open arm study we can talk about. But, you know, I'm not a physician. I'm a medical doctor. I've never intubated anyone. So don't think I'm saying that. I don't want people to think I'm saying it's a treatment. I just want to, it's a hypothesis that needs to be tested. And thankfully there are clinical trials, randomized controlled trials that are now ongoing, and there are some that are recruiting. But
just the statistics that you've already listed about vitamin D and the people that have had COVID-19, those are insane.
It's insane. And also in Sweden, there's a huge population of Somalis that have migrated to Sweden. And they have been identified as being severely vitamin D deficient because a lot of the Somalis they're also like autism rates are really high there. And I published a link also between vitamin D and autism. But so there's been studies looking at vitamin D levels in the Somali population. I mean, they are so deficient because you're taking someone who's you know, evolved to be getting a lot of sun, but not burn from it, and then putting them in a place where they can't get any vitamin D from the sun. And if they don't get a supplement, like they're going to be deficient, you know, and they're so much more likely. They're like, it's wreaking havoc in Sweden on the Somali population.
That is so logical.
Yeah. And then, okay, so elderly are like insanely more deficient. I forgot the exact number. Obese people are like 3 times more likely to be vitamin D deficient in the United States.
Why is that?
Because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it's been shown to be 50% less bioavailable. So you have to, after you make it in your skin, it's stored in fat, and, you know, it's released when, you know, basically into the bloodstream, and then it gets converted into a hormone. This hormone regulates 5%, more than 5% of the human protein-encoded human genome. That's a lot of it's a hormone. Like, can you imagine just walking around without testosterone? You're a man. That's a hormone. I mean, like, because there's a lot of people that are deficient in vitamin D. And it's a steroid hormone. It gets converted into a hormone. Wow. Like, this isn't just a vitamin, you know? It's important. It's really important. So I went off on a tangent. But anyways.
What can I ask you this while we're off on this tangent?
Yes.
What is happening to people when they are vitamin D? Like, what's happening in the vitamin D deficient? What is happening in the body that's causing their immune system this hormone deficiency, not having this vitamin D, whether it's through sun exposure or
there's
diet?
Lots of things. I mean, there's vitamin D receptors on like your immune cells, and the reason for that is because when the vitamin D hormone binds to the receptor, it activates all these genes, and that the genes do stuff that are, you know, regulate immune function. You know, there's studies that have shown people, and I love these studies because they basically take away people's complaints about, you know, there's lots of epidemiological studies showing that low vitamin D is associated with disease X, Y, or Z. And everyone's like, well, you know, they're not in the sun as much, so they're not as healthy, they're not as physically active, they're not whatever, even though those confounding factors are usually corrected for. It's all, at the end of the day, it's an association, right? And everyone's like, correlation's not causation, which is true. But sometimes you got to like look at the full body of data, you know? There are genetic polymorphisms. So there are people that have variations in genes that cause them to genetically have lower vitamin D. And so this is called Mendelian randomization, when you can take a person that has a genetically, they're genetically low vitamin D. So you're not categorizing them based on their vitamin D levels. You're categorizing them based on their gene. And those people are more likely to die from respiratory infections just based on that gene alone. So, yeah, that gene that it's known to it leads to lower vitamin D levels. And so, like, those people are more likely to die from respiratory infections than people that don't have that, which it's a great way of kind of randomizing people by their genes as opposed to doing a randomized control trial. Those have been done as well. There was a study that was over 25 randomized control trials. People that were given a vitamin D supplement, varying doses, either weekly or daily. Monthly didn't work. The people with low baseline vitamin D levels, so people that were like deficient, they were 50% less likely to have a respiratory tract infection if they were taking the vitamin D supplement. Over 50% actually. And people that had already normal levels still had a protective effect. They were 10% less likely. So even people that were already considered normal, taking a vitamin D supplement helped prevent the respiratory tract infection.
Can you take too much vitamin D?
Yes, you can. You can.
Like, what's too much?
So the tolerable upper intake has been set by the Nutrition Board, the Institute of Medicine, to be 4,000 IUs a day. But there's been studies that have shown that people that have taken 10,000 IUs a day for multiple years haven't had any hypercalcemia or had problems. But too much vitamin D can be toxic. It's not good to take that. It's best to get a vitamin D blood test, and I think that personally, there has been a trend. So people that have blood levels higher than 60 may have just a little bit higher calcium levels, but not much. It's not like anything to be hugely concerned about. But there are studies also showing that either vitamin K1. So there's been a meta-analysis looking at 12 different studies, I think, where vitamin K1 or vitamin K2 were given, and both of those improved bone mineral density and prevented any hypercalcemia. Because when you take vitamin D, you absorb calcium better, like something crazy, like 40% more dietary calcium is being absorbed.
Wow.
So the problem is that calcium can easily form a precipitate in general, and particularly when phosphorus is around. And phosphorus is another thing vitamin D does increase the absorption of. But again, like I said, it's really hard to find any studies where vitamin D is causing, hypercalcemia unless it's like really, really high dose for a while. I personally think taking the vitamin K, and what's interesting about the vitamin K1 versus vitamin K2, without going into too much of a tangent, is basically the vitamin K1, normally it goes to your liver and it's involved in blood coagulation. But when there's enough vitamin K1 around, it stays in the periphery and it moves calcium, periphery being bloodstream, it moves calcium out of the bloodstream and takes it to places where it's supposed to go, like the bones and the muscle. Vitamin K2 usually stays around in the periphery, doesn't really go to the liver. So that's usually what it's just doing is, moving calcium out and bringing it to the bones. And so I actually have K1 in my multi that I take, but I also take a K2 supplement, MK4. I take it like a couple times a week.
And what dose are you taking for K1?
Well, the K1's in my multi, so I don't. Vitamin K1 is it's found in dark leafy greens, so I get a lot of those as well. I get a lot, so I'm getting a lot of K1. Vitamin K2 is not as readily found in like the Western. I mean, it's like the food that's highest in it is that fermented soybean natto, but it's like small quantities and like.
Do you ever get concerned from the high volume of leafy greens? Do you ever get concerned of oxalates or getting kidney stones or anything along those lines?
No. I like the few studies that I've seen. It's in people that are like doing insane juicing and they're already like messed up, So I'm not concerned at all. Like even like the oxalates. So oxalates actually
not even a little bit.
So yeah, no, I don't concern. I want the vitamin D thing is so important to me. Like the reason, there's a big reason I think that vitamin D is so important. It's for the lung function and the respiratory function. But what's really interesting is that the very receptor that this SARS-CoV-2 virus binds to gain entry into the cell, it's called ACE2. That very receptor plays a really important role in preventing lung damage and preventing acute lung injury, preventing acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS. And what's been shown with SARS-CoV-1 is that because SARS-CoV-1 also binds to that receptor, ACE2 it's called, and that's how it gets into the cell, just like the SARS-CoV-2. When it binds to the receptor, it like it attaches and like through this like weird endocytosis mechanism, it takes the receptor in and decreases the receptor, what's called downregulates. Downregulates the receptor, so you end up having less ACE2, which causes can cause severe lung injury. Not having the ACE2, it plays a big role in protecting. That's been shown in multiple.
I think we're gonna call it, boys. We'll call it a night. Got a lot of people involved this time. We'll see how that goes for us.